Well, here we are on our next project. This is a Yamaha Warrior 350. I just picked this up from a new subscriber, okay? And I got a really good deal on it. As you can see right away, the people that are Warrior enthusiasts, that frame shouldn't be red. And as you look real closely at it, there's a lot of things that are a little bit undesirable. Bolts missing. Part of the block where the chain guard would be is kind of broken off. And it was worse when I first got it. I was able to fix a couple things, but that you have to figure that goes with getting a good deal on it. The tires were both flat on this side and were leaking air. Here, there's a nut right here. I was able to tighten and it stopped leaking air. So both of them were leaking air that way. These are brand new tires on here, so there's a lot of good. But I also, one of the first things I did is I jacked it up and I said, let me see about the carrier bearing. And it was loose. The axle was loose. It went side to side really, really bad. And I was really, really concerned about that. I figured I was going to have to do a carrier bearing, which is not the end of the world. I just didn't want to do it. Well, lo and behold, my son told me to tighten these two bolts right here, nuts right here, and I said, look, it's never that easy. I'm planning on doing that, but it's never that easy. Well, being he came over and he looked at it and he got to do a test ride on it. I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and tighten them up. And this jam nut was already like very loose. This thing, I was able to tighten it up and tighten the whole axle up. These bolts here that would hold it for the spacing to tighten the chain were all loose, and the chain was super loose. I was able to tighten that up. I, of course, put grease on all the grease fittings. They look really dry. But cosmetically, the thing's going to need a lot. Now, let's talk about the motor. Well, if we turn the key on, all right, and lo and behold, she fires right up. Good running machine, right? Even the lights work, okay? So far, it's looking really good. I also got a new clutch with it, brake pads with it. Now, the brakes. Hold this for a second. Let's talk about that. The brakes, the rear brakes do not work. The front brakes work, but probably need to be bled. The rear brakes do not work at all, but I was given 2 master cylinders. You can see some of these parts are new. The brake line here is a braided brake line. It's brand new, but the brakes are non-existent. But I got new pads with it, and I got 2 new master cylinders. I only need but one, So anyway, this looks like it's a good project, has good bones, and I don't know. What do you guys think it'll be worth when I'm all done with it? I will tell you, I paid $700 for this. And I honestly was on the verge of not even picking it up because I was worried about that rear axle, the rear carrier bearing, and having to do that. That made me very nervous. So what are my plans for it? Well, the plans are to restore it and sell it for a profit. First off, the seat has been reupholstered already, looks great. We need to do nothing with the seat. The plastics, we don't have a single crack anywhere in the plastic that I've seen. But they are very, very dingy. I don't know if you can see it in these lights. They're rough. They're not shiny. So a couple of different methods that I can use for that. There's the boiled linseed oil and paint thinner. I've tried that before. I wasn't wild about it. But I've also seen where, and actually I've tried where you can wet sand it with very fine sandpaper and come back with a heat gun and it can bring the shine right back. That's the method we're going to try. We're going to try it. I think we'll be okay. Now that frame, we can't let the red stay. No, that red's got to go. So the plan is to paint the frame. I know it was probably silver to begin with, but I don't want to pull the motor out, so I want to paint the frame black. I'm going to pull the shocks out. You already see some red overspray on the shocks. I want to correct that. But I want to have the frame be black. That's going to be a whole lot better than what it was. The wheels are very nice, but they're very nasty as far as the filth on them. So we're going to clean them up real good and shine them up and make them really shiny, because that's going to make it a lot more desirable. And other than that, I think we got a really nice canvas to go ahead and paint and make beautiful again. Okay, got all the body work off, and we're going to do a little bit of a power wash, but just going to do a little bit of before and after that red painted. It did, they must have had everything off of it to paint it that red, but yeah, there it is. So give it a little power wash and then nice coat of black on there. Okay, well, hopefully that is a improvement. And don't beat me up too bad in the comments. I'm not a professional painter, and it cost me 1.5 cans of paint and primer in one Rust-Oleum gloss black spray paint. And yeah, it's not too bad. Every time I look at it, I seem to find a little more red. I did use the wood stove black for the exhaust, so I didn't just use the same paint for that. That's a different paint, and that makes the exhaust look a lot nicer. And yeah, I just couldn't stand the red. I mean, and for all you enthusiasts out there that, yes, it should be silver, I know, I apologize, but I wasn't pulling that motor. In order to do it right, I had to pull the motor, and I didn't even actually take the shocks off. I did wrap those. So anyway, now on to our body work and shining them wheels up. Okay, so now on to the plastic. So this is what it looked like, all nice and clean, but kind of dull and scratched up looking, and we just did this other side. So how did I do that? Well, what I used was 400 grit sandpaper. Then I started with the heat gun, but then heat gun was going too slow, and I seen somebody online use a propane torch. So I did that, I used that, and that went a little faster, and it was nice. Then, of course, the boiled linseed oil and mineral spirits I used, half and half. I wouldn't do that inside, though, because there's, you know, quite a smell. But anyway, it's not terrible. But anyway, look at that. That's pretty shiny. So I can't wait to see what it looks like. Now, I also would work on the wheels. Now, the wheels are aluminum and have that clear coat on them. This is what it looked like clean. Okay, that one was actually the better of the two. And then I went and shined it up, and this one here, and it came out pretty good. But there's a lot of little, I don't know, imperfections in it, and I think that something happened to the clear coat that's over the aluminum, because it's not bare aluminum. I found that out on my Honda. So anyway, they're going to be shiny. You know, they're not going to be perfect, but certainly going to be a lot better with that. I can't wait to put the whole thing together. It's very satisfying. We'll see what we're going to do next. Well, I believe that's a wrap for this project. I mean, there's always more that you could do to restore these things, but at what point is it just throwing more money at it? When really, it's a great runner. It looks great right now. I'm really happy with the way the frame came out. That black is so much nicer than the red. The plastics came out really nice. I mean, hey, they're not perfect, but boy, that's a really nice improvement to what it was. You know, the wheels came out a little bit shinier, and everything works on it now the way it's supposed to, you know. That's really nice. Growing up, this was, you know, in the late 80s, this was the quad to have, you know, something like this, or they had the 300EX, the 400EX was not out yet, and this thing has a 6-speed in it, and, you know, it would go over 60 miles an hour, and this thing was really something nice to have. Nowadays, it's, I don't know, they call it the lead sled. It's, you know, it's a little dated, but I still think it's really cool. And I believe I should easily be able to double my money on this. But, you know, it's not just that. It's for the fun of doing it, and boy, it came out really well. So, well, that's all I got for now as far as the rebuilding. But now it's time for the verse of the day. So today's verses of the day are found in Matthew 23, verses 25 and 26. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside also will be clean. You know, when we first got this machine, it just looked like it needed a cosmetic restoration. But there were some things on the inside that needed fixed. Like the reverse, it didn't really work right. I had to make an adjustment on that. It would keep sliding out of gear. It didn't have a rear brake. Now you couldn't see it, but if you went to go hit that rear brake in an emergency, there was nothing there. There was a lot of little things on the inside that needed to be corrected, but also the outside. But you know, Jesus wants to clean you from the inside out. All the things that you don't think anybody else knows about and you can hide, Jesus knows about, and he wants to clean that. If you go to Jesus today and you ask for forgiveness, he is willing and able to make you clean and totally clean. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And thanks. Share it with a friend.